Hi and welcome to the first out of 12 episodes of fly tying with me, Tellis Katsogiannos. I will be your instructor or host for 12 weeks to come. All of these flies that I'm going to tie and show you is variations or my interpretation of already famous patterns, my own patterns as well. Mostly it's going to be about salmon flies, but also coastal flies and saltwater flies as well. And we're struggling at this point in life with the COVID-19 and we're all stuck inside more or less. So with this I'm hoping that I can bring some enjoyment throughout this winter. All of these flies you can also see live each Friday on my Facebook page. There will be a link here in the description. And you will also find a direct link to my online shop where you can get all the materials for all the flies that we're gonna tie, and also some information about organizations that we're choosing to support in these times. And I do hope that you will find these episodes interesting. And the first episode and the first fly that we're gonna start with is a fly that I call the autumn fly. And it's a variation, or where I got my inspiration for this fly. It's the original temple dog fly by Mr. Håkan Norling. It's very similar, but it also, of course, it has my personal touch to it and a little bit different colors and variations. So this is a new kind of fly or a different pattern. And if you look in detail, most salmon flies are basically made in the same way, but we're just choosing different colors after different variations in weather and conditions, of course, but also our personal feeling. If I believe that this fly is better, I want to fish with that. I'm also going to guide you through the different materials, why I choose different types of hackles, why this hair is better than that. And if you're completely new to fly tying, please look back a few years on my channel. You will find a lot of good videos talking more about techniques, how to use the feathers, how to use the hairs. Of course, those things will also be brought up as I'm tying, but in detail you can look into that on previous fly tying videos that I've made. And yeah, I think we should start with week 1, the autumn fly. Alright, this is the autumn fly. So this is the fly that we will be tying right now. Start by taking your 1.0 millimeter plastic tube and just slide your drop tube on. I prefer this kind of tubes to US tubes because it's heavier. Gets a little bit more sinking effect when I need it. Just burn a little edge here in the back. It will prevent the tube from sliding off, of course. And blow on that end so it dries a little bit faster. That's the sound you hear. Then you take Loctite or any other super glue and just one drop here and slide that all the way towards the edge there, like that. And then cut so you have a little bit working space here. Then put that onto the needle like that. Black thread, I'm using a 0.8, nothing fancy, but it works good. And then just attach it just below the edge of that metal and then cut off the excess thread. Now I'm gonna take a little bit of dubbing and rather have a little bit too little than too much, especially on autumn flies when you want to hide the fly and surprise the salmon a little bit more. When I'm use dubbing, I most of the times just put it on like this and then a few laps, then I know it's secured here, and then pull that back a little bit and lock it like that. Next step is taking fox hair for the first wing. This is fiery cinnamon, a special mix color that me and my friends use a lot. Then take that and cut it off. This is a little bit too much and too big right now, but we're gonna do a little bit of work here to shape it. As you can see, there is a natural taper to it, and you will enhance that by removing a little bit of that hair here. And then now look for the natural taper. And pull a little bit more. Finger and thumb. Now slide that finger backwards. And you can see here now that I'm adjusting the hair fibers, creating an even more tapered wing. And then you can do some small adjustments. And then I'm cutting off the excess hair like so, making it a little bit easier and cleaner when I'm gonna tie it. What I normally do with this kind of hair, softer hair, is I always tie it in reverse and then bend it over backwards. So what we see here now is that it's shorter hair and longer hair. We need to remember which side is what, because it's going to be opposite when I'm flipping this one. So I'm attaching it short, long, but now the short hair is underneath, creating this taper. Short, and it slowly goes longer, like so. Next step is taking angel hair, and I normally use the Saltwater edition. The strands is a little bit wider, and what I normally do is I cut open here, and it's easier to just pull one strand out that you need. And one strand is the only flash I will use. Attach it like this, and then turn that over with 2 laps like that. All synthetic materials, flash and fibers, they should be cut a little bit uneven, otherwise they have a tendency to get stuck together in the water when the fly is swimming. So make sure that these two are not the same length. And now we're choosing a hackle. What I'm using here is a rooster saddle in some badger grizzly that's color orange or hot orange. I'm gonna show you a little bit how to choose your hackle size wise, because it's easy in the beginning to take a hackle that's too short or the fibers are too long. Something that's very good proportion wise is when this one is wrapped around, it should be 1/3 of the total wing length. And I will show you that when the fly is done. First of all, just clean this by pulling off the excess hair that you're not going to use. And throw that away. And then turn the feather like this. Pull the fibers back. I want to see what I have to work with. Before I do anything else here, or pull that off and cut that off. And you see you get a little triangle, that's what we're going to attach here. But all feathers has a natural curve or a bend. So you can see if I flip it over, it gets a concave shape, and this one is convex, it's bent. This is important because this is the upside of the saddle and the feather. When you attach it, it should point in your opposite direction. It should not point towards you, which if I put it in, now you can see it's facing the camera. When I then wrap that, the fibers will go in the wrong direction and go pointing forward. So you want that stem to be going away from you when you have attached it. A couple of laps on that hump there, and then secure it below. What am I gonna do now is that I'm gonna modify or shape the hackle a little bit by taking the scissor, not using the sharp cutting side of course, but the other hard side here. Put that against your hackle like this, and then slowly just slide it up. What I have done now is I've manipulated the fibers a little bit, and this will make it way easier to have the hackle in the right spot. So first lap, when I get down here, I take my finger and thumb, take it back like this, pull it back, and I'm now taking a reversed grip, and you have to pull back, pinch here and release. If I don't do that and just keep going, you can see that this will get twinned. And that will make it very difficult to create this nice hackle. A couple of laps up on that hump to cover it, and then the rest tight just in front of it. Pull back, release, reverse grip. And now I take a few laps with my left hand like this, and then lock it like that. Cut it off. What I do now is that I take my super exclusive brush here. It's a toothbrush which I've cut off, and I've had this for easily 15 years. Nothing fancy, but it works and it gets the job done. I'm just pulling a little bit of the hackle down like that, and then just pulling that through the wing here. Like so. Okay. Final step. Now we're taking a black foxhair wing, and this one should be a little bit longer than the brown wing here. It's always good to have several pieces of hair with different length. It's easier to work with than having to do a lot of this work all the time. Do the same thing, remove a little bit of excess hair, shape the wing here a little bit, creating what you want to have, measure it, and then cut off the excess. And once again, I'm going to tie it reversed. Tie it towards there. When you attach hair materials, the first 2 laps should be pretty soft. Otherwise, you will just push it away, and then you lock it with a few extra laps or wraps. Okay, take that one and put it over like that. Broaden it a little bit. Make sure it has a nice shape before you tie it on. Once again, you can see the benefit of the folding technique or the reverse technique. There's nothing here you need to clean. It's completely clean, and it's more or less ready as it is. I'm gonna attach some cheeks, which is jungle cock feathers. Makes the fly look a little bit prettier, but it's purely decorative. This is nothing that the salmon cares about. Now you can see what I meant a little bit earlier, that the hackle has about 1/3 of the total wing length. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That will create a very nice drip-shaped fly, which is a little bit wider and then slowly thins out in the end. And the same with the cheek, should be about 1/3 of the wing length. This is also personal, what you like. Some people like to have big eyes but very close to the head. Some will like them very long throughout the wing. It's all up to you, and you can just skip it as well. Clean it a little bit, put it on the side. 1, 2, 3. Then you take the other one, and let's see here, and measure it so you are about the same in length before. 1, 2. And it's a good thing to have a fly tying vise where you can rotate if you're doing these things. It's not needed, but it helps you out. A few laps like this. Then I take the stem here and fold that back. Pinch it and then secure it. This will, of course, make those cheeks stay on way longer. Then you just go in close and cut off that excess. Of course, on both sides. It does happen sometimes that I forget them, but you will see that pretty fast when you're fishing. Okay, like that. I never use any whip finish or anything when I'm finishing here. I just put some glue onto the thread like so. You see it pearls up there. And make about 4 or 5 laps. Cut it off close to, and as long as this glue is wet, you have the chance or possibility to pinch that thread in. If you just leave it, it will get a ugly shape. All right, that's the tying part of this fly. It's pretty simple, but it's extremely effective. What I'm gonna do now to finish it, I'm just gonna cut close here. Then take the lighter, just carefully burn a little bit. And what you can do now is you can continue adding glue to it, or varnish if you want to have a very nice shiny head. You can also use UV glue and a UV pen, which I've done on this fly here. As you can see, it gets a very nice shiny head very easily. But that's up to everyone to decide how much work do you need to put into it. Otherwise the fly is done and you're ready to go.